Wednesday. This is still trending, so it's fair game for me to talk about. The popular Netflix series, possibly the rare show that Netflix won't cancel before its time, created by Alfred Goh and Miles Millar, who also did Smallville. It's about Wednesday Addams of the Addams Family, by herself, without the rest of the family for most of it, except for Thing, who pretty much becomes her sidekick. And 4 of the 8 episodes are directed by Tim Burton because, of course, he's a part of this. Anyway, Wednesday is sent to a boarding school for weird, dark people like her, including a lot of supernatural creatures, and people are being killed by a monster who looks like something Tim Burton would have designed. And he probably did. And now Wednesday has to find out who the creature is. It has an interesting enough mystery and, of course, that signature Tim Burton style. Even the ones that he didn't direct are clearly influenced by him. This subject and the IP are the perfect outlet for that style. Burton is probably the most obvious and basic answer for the question of who should work on the Addams Family, but that's only because he's famously good at this kind of thing. And Wednesday is played by Jenna Ortega, a former Disney Channel star who was recently in X. Mickey Mouse does not approve of this. And here she does a great Wednesday. She nails the gothic nature that defines her character. But unfortunately it does get a little too much into teen angst. Maybe I'm just being a dick because this is pretty much a teen show, but that might be a problem for a lot of people who aren't really into that kind of thing. But overall, I still liked it. It'll be the perfect thing for your teenage sister's goth phase, but also great for those who just want to see a Burton-esque murder mystery continuation of the Addams Family that's a little darker than I presume those recent animated ones are. I don't really have much else to say about this. I'm pretty sure everything I can say has already been said already. Honestly, I'm a little more interested in talking about M3GAN, so stick around, that's probably the better review.
Chucky's back, but this time, there's more to fear. Because this time, he's got a playmate of his own. Bride of Chucky. This Halloween, Chucky gets lucky.
Barbie, eat your heart out.
M3GAN, spelt with a 3, as you can clearly tell by this weird line thing that obviously doesn't look way more like an E than it does a 3. From Gerard Johnstone, director of Housebound, and written by Keela Cooper, who also did Malignant, based on a story by James Wan. Not only is this a January release, this is the first movie of the year, but this time it looks like 2023 is off to a great start. It's about a high-tech toy designer who is left to take care of her newly orphaned niece. And to help the poor kid cope, she gives her the prototype of a new android thing. It's the perfect plaything, except for the fact that it kills people. This movie is a lot more funny than scary, but it is very funny, and maybe at times mildly scary. This is the kind of movie where it opens with a toy commercial for some creepy looking pet toy that says that it's a replacement for actual pets that can die. It feels almost exactly like a real toy commercial, except if it had the script of a Tim and Eric sketch. Yep, this is the writer of Malignant, alright. Except I think this might actually be funnier. You don't have to wait for the third act for things to get crazy. Although it also doesn't have the level of gore that Malignant had. This was apparently imagined as an R-rated film but was toned down to be PG-13. Which definitely sucks, but this does still push the limits of violence the rating could allow. There are really only a few deaths that truly felt toned down. The titular robot doll is a great horror villain. A literal killing machine who manages to be funny to watch without actually trying to be funny, a la Freddy Krueger. She's fun enough to go viral on TikTok. Not only does she dance, she also sings, and every time she does, the audience bursts out laughing. I've heard people say that Art the Clown is a new horror icon. I suggest M3GAN may also deserve that description. She's like Art the Clown, but with better dance moves and less edge. And she does a bunch of kills that are pretty good for a PG-13 movie, including a lot of victims who deserve it by horror movie standards. I mean, obviously in the real world, nobody's advocating for the death penalty for being a dick. but there are a lot of times when you can tell that the deaths are supposed to be entertaining, which again leads to the less scary tone. And a lot of them are fun to watch dicks. One standout is the main character supervisor played by Ronnie Chang, who I spent most of the movie trying to figure out what I recognized him from, and later found out he's the correspondent for The Daily Show. And he is a great over-the-top caricature of the greedy businessman. And even with all that, at the heart there is a good human story of a woman coming to terms with her situation and rising up to take care of her niece instead of leaving that to a machine. But it's not all great. It still does suffer a little from the PG-13 rating. Once again, only most of the deaths are not toned down. It doesn't really have anything as crazy as the police station fight in *Malignant*. The scene of M3GAN at the unveiling was a little underwhelming since it kind of felt like it was building up to something bigger. Maybe that could have potentially been this movie's police station fight. But for the most part, this is a great horror film no matter what it's rated. A fun, not too scary slasher movie that the kids who aren't old enough for slasher movies can love too. I'm giving this a 4.5. Am I being too generous? I mean, that's the same rating I gave The Fabelmans, and I'm giving it to a horror movie that isn't even that scary. Well, I think it might be fair enough. It's not as high art as some of the movies people will be bringing up as the best movies of the year by the time 2024 comes, but it's set at a high standard for one of my most enjoyable movies of the year. It knows what it wants to be, and it does it amazingly. For merchandise, I've been thinking about selling a life-size robot of myself. I need a lot of money for that, so help make that a reality by joining my Patreon. Link in the description.